Today, we begin with breaking news out of South LA. Firefighters still cleaning up after a massive fire at a commercial building. It all broke out at a warehouse on 58th Street, just east of the 110 freeway and south of downtown. KCAL 9's Edward Lawrence is live at the scene with the very latest. Edward.
And Sharon, there's still a lot of activity here. It's mainly firefighters that are rolling up hoses, and let me show you, a lot of fire trucks have actually left the scene here. Firefighters, there's some smoke, white smoke coming out of the building, and that's good because that means that the flames are actually going out. Now the firefighters are looking for any hot spots to put out. Now more than 150 firefighters were on this fire. Sky 9 has the video of huge flames shooting out of the building. This call came in at 5:41. It was a 911 call, and firefighters were mainly able to contain it to one building. Now, the surrounding buildings were evacuated. One firefighter was injured. I walked past him at the scene. They were giving him the oxygen, and he was being treated for heat exhaustion. How high were the flames when you came out?
At least 20 feet up, at least. And it looked to me like it was getting bigger and bigger.
Adrian Jefferson was in the building next door. He says he could smell smoke and came outside to find this. The building sits at 211 East 58th Street. Firefighters worked from above. They also worked from inside the building to put the fire out. This is an area full of industrial warehouses. Jefferson says part of this building was used to make clothes. Luckily, he parked across the street.
I was worried, but not because of the heat, because of my van. I actually bought it. I just signed it over to my mom, so I want to hold on to it.
Firefighters were able to save that van. That van is parked across the street. Now, this is also a manufacturing plant. They do furniture inside, we're told from firefighters. The firefighters also say that there was one civilian who was inside who was treated for minor smoke inhalation on the scene here. He did not have to go to the hospital. Reporting live in South LA, Edward Lawrence, KCAL 9 News.
We have some breaking news right now of a raging fire in South LA.
Now, this is happening at a business at 158 East 58th Street. More than 16 fire companies are there fighting this fire, trying to keep it from spreading.
Yeah, there's no word on how this started, but as you can see, it's a pretty massive fire inside that building. More than 150 firefighters, in fact, are on the scene. The name of the business at that address is Stevie's Furniture Manufacturing.
Well, on the line with us now is Captain Steve Ruda from LA Fire. Captain, are you there? Captain Ruda? Okay, we were hoping to have some communication with the fire captain from LA Fire there, but Paul and I have been watching this fire for probably almost, well, 15 minutes now, that's for sure. And at one point, it seemed to be fully engulfed in flames.
Yeah, they looked like they were having a real problem fighting it, Pat, and that's why they did bring in additional firefighters. We do know that the alarm was called at 5:41, and that was when firefighters first responded to the scene. I think Captain Ruda is back on the phone with us right now. Captain, what can you tell us about any problems fighting this fire? And actually, how big is it? It's a little tough to tell right now in the dark.
Right. You know, the darkness set just probably 45 minutes to an hour ago. But this is just south of downtown LA. I know that when the firefighters from Fire Station 33, that's located at 65th and Main, when they pulled out of quarters, the captain immediately called for, just from looking at the size of the smoke and the fire off at 58th Street, that he knew that he was responding to a major fire. So he called for additional 26 firefighters initially right before he could get on scene. Now this has moved into what they call a major emergency structure fire, where we have over probably about 160 firefighters on scene. We're in what's called the defensive mode. As you can see, in the middle of your screen, at the top of your screen, you've got a tall aerial ladder. That's a hook and ladder that can rise up to 100 feet in the sky. You have firefighters on top of that, and he's got a light, if you can see the light at the top of the aerial ladder, directing about 500 gallons per minute from that aerial ladder, trying to get into this particular structure. The commercial building, we understand, is a furniture building, and so they probably had a lot of materials inside, combustible materials, because as you can see, I can see 1, 2, 3 aerial ladders, plus firefighters with hand lines, large firefighting hoses that they're directing at least 200 gallons of water per each firefighter in the defensive mode. The big problem that we have, too, is making sure that we don't have any of the exposure to buildings that are next door to this commercial building catch on fire. So that's exactly what we're doing in the defensive mode.
You know what, Captain Reuter, that was my next question to you. Have you confined this fire to that particular furniture store? And can you describe some of the other buildings, or are there residences nearby as well?
Right. This is an interface between commercial structures and single-family dwellings that are in South LA. We've had several large fires in and around this area. If I can bring them to your attention, the titanium fires that we had on Slauson that were very disastrous and dangerous to firefighters because of the material. Here we have possibly the dangers of paints and lacquers and thinners and building materials to make these furniture. So we get a lot of these commercial buildings in the south there that have all types of occupancies, commercial occupancies with hazardous materials, liquids, chemicals, things like that, furniture building places. Now, a lot of this, remember in a place when we had, remember where we had that one plumber and building owner that tried to steal gas from the meter, and as he did that, he filled the building full of gas and it exploded, and we had that major collapse about 4 or 5 months ago. So these are the type of commercial buildings, and it looks really good in the middle of your screen that firefighters are in the occupancies there to the south of that particular structure. You've got to worry about the high tension wires that aerial ladder is over, so that they don't have any electricity conduct against that aerial ladder. So there's a lot of hazards that you can see here. This particular building is a metal cloud. I see the firefighters directing large streams of water into the fire, and it's almost as if the fire is being obstinate in the face of these heroes that fire doesn't want to go out. Doesn't it look like that to you?
Yeah, it really
Yes, it does,
It's burning
Captain.
very hot. Now, Captain Reuter, do you know, did everybody get out of that building? And secondly, is anybody that works there, are they trying to assist you in telling firefighters on the scene what's in there, where it's located, that kind of thing?
Yes, sometimes as we had we had 2 titanium fires down there in the south, and part of our information gathering is that firefighters, the captains on scene, the chiefs, have to gather as much information on what kind of building this is. We have what we call building inventory, so that firefighters know what type of building this is, what type of equipment is inside, what type of hazardous materials, and whatnot. So it looks like the fire is being contained to that one-story area. On the bottom of your right-hand screen, you're seeing almost like a 2-story warehouse, and it doesn't look like the fire has penetrated in there at all. However, firefighters with hose lines are probably in there protecting, so that when the fire, there's not much we can do to that fire in the middle of your screen, but there's a lot we can do to the surrounding buildings around that, and that way we can keep it from spreading.
Yep.
You can see above the firefighters, we get those transmission lines above them.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, they're probably backing up a little bit because we work together with the Department of Water and Power to make sure that that large volume of heavy electricity, I'm looking at those weatherheads. Right in the middle of your screen, you're seeing as the droop lines come into the building, that we can degenerize those areas so that we don't have electrical hazards. So firefighters have to always be aware of their surroundings. Our chiefs tell us it's called situational awareness. You sometimes be mesmerized with that big fire just biting at your face right there, but you also got to be aware above you the hazard, as we can see by your great coverage, that the transformers are starting to light off, and I'm sure that we have that electricity shut down by water and power.
Captain, we were asking a question earlier. Of course, it is the day before the holiday, and hopefully the owner of this facility let the workers go home early. And our question, of course, is, do you know if the owner has been notified? Was he there? Was there anyone on the premises of this structure?
I'm not sure. I'm not on the scene yet at the fire. But part of our operation is that as you have firefighters getting on scene, one of the major things we have to do is to make sure everybody is out of the building. We do an immediate search and rescue where we're making sure that people are out of the building. But as I think when firefighters arrive, we have this commercial building well involved in fire. Arson investigation, as a point of professionalism, will come on scene, and they will start an investigation right at the beginning. By this time, building owners are notified. They can see your coverage, and they'll return to their building to to help in the investigation and find out exactly what happened.
Exactly. Captain Steve Ruta, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us and explain things to our viewers at home. We certainly do appreciate it. You do a great job, and so do those firefighters on the ground. We appreciate that as well.